You know, I've stood on stages that echo with the weight of kings and tyrants, delivered lines that cut through the air like a blade, and yet the real turning points in life aren't scripted. They're messy, inconvenient, and often soaked in rain. My turning point wasn't a callback from a big director or a red carpet revelation. It was a broken down bus on a rainy Tuesday in New York City back in the early 2000s when I was just another struggling actor scraping by. I was heading to a dead-end audition for some commercial where they probably want you to play a quirky sidekick again. The bus lurched to a stop in the middle of traffic, engine sputtering like it had given up on life, and there I was, trapped with a bunch of strangers, water dripping from my coat, fuming at the universe for piling one more indignity on my day. Little did I know that stalled hunk of metal would crack open my world in ways no spotlight ever could. It forced me to sit still, to listen, to see beyond my own frustrations. And in that unexpected pause, I found the clarity that changed everything. Let me take you back to the before. Picture this, me in my 20s, fresh out of Bennington College, armed with a theater degree and a fire in my belly, but carrying the invisible weight of being 4'5" in a world built for giants. Acting was my escape, my rebellion. I'd grown up in New Jersey, the son of an insurance salesman and a music teacher, both average height, and there I was, the outlier. School was a battlefield. Kids staring, whispering, the occasional cruel joke that lands like a punch. But I discovered Shakespeare in high school, and suddenly words became my armor. I could be Puck or Richard III, twisted in body but sharp in mind. College amplified that. I dove into plays, honed my craft, felt invincible on stage, yet stepping into the real world of auditions, it was a grind that chipped away at that invincibility. New York hit me hard. I'd pound the pavement, portfolio in hand, only to hear the same refrains. You're perfect for the elf, the gnome, the comic relief. Typecasting wasn't just a word, it was a cage. I'd audition for serious roles, Hamlet or a lawyer in some Italy film, and see the casting director's eyes glaze over, already slotted. It fueled this simmering self-pity, a voice in my head whispering that my height was a curse, a barrier no talent could surmount. I'd resist it, sure, tell myself I was above those demeaning gigs, turn down offers for Lehicon ads or fantasy bit parts. But resistance bred resentment. I'd hole up in my tiny walk-up apartment, staring at peeling wallpaper, nursing cheap beer, wondering if I'd ever break free. Friends would say, "Peter, you're brilliant, keep going." But inside, I was drowning in doubt. Why fight a system rigged against me? Why not just take the easy money and fade into obscurity? That resistance spilled into everything. I'd avoid social scenes where I'd feel like the odd one out, skip parties because navigating crowds meant elbows in my face or people talking over me, literally. Dating? A minefield of awkward silences and pitying glances. I'd channel it into my work, but even there it festered. I remember one off-Broadway play where the director adjusted the set for normal actors, leading me to improvise around props I couldn't reach. Frustrating? Hell yes! It built this wall of defiance, but it was brittle, cracking under the weight of rejection slips. I was talented, I knew it. My voice could command a room, my presence could steal a scene, but the industry saw me as a novelty. Self-pity became my shadow, whispering that maybe I should quit. Go back to Jersey, find a desk job where height didn't matter. But quitting felt like surrender, so I'd push on, cycle of auditions and letdowns, each one eroding my resolve a little more. And then, that rainy Tuesday, the bus was packed. Commuters, shoppers, a mix of weary faces. I was sandwiched between a suited businessman scrolling his phone and a young mom juggling a stroller. When the engine died, horns blared outside, ringing, hammering the room like accusation. The driver announced over the crackly speaker, "Folks, we're stuck! Tow truck's on the way, could be an hour!" Groans rippled through the bus. Me! I was livid! This audition was my shot at something halfway decent, and now I'd miss it because of some mechanical failure. I cursed under my breath, fists clenched, mind racing through all the ways life was screwing me over. Why me? Why now? The self-pity surged, hot and familiar. But here's where it shifted. With nowhere to go, conversations started bubbling up. The businessman grumbled about his meeting. The mom cooed at her kid. Then, An older gentleman across from me, gray hair, kind eyes, looked like he'd seen a few wars, leaned forward. "Reminds me of Nam," he said, chuckling. "Stuck in a foxhole, rain pouring, waiting for the choppers. Thought I'd die there, but it taught me patience." I nodded politely, not in the mood for war stories, but he kept going, eyeing me curiously. "You look like you've got your own battle, son!" Maybe it was the rain or the confinement, but I opened up a little, told him about the audition, the frustrations of being different in a cookie-cutter world. He listened, really listened, then shared something that hit like lightning. He talked about his grandson, born with a rare condition that left him in a wheelchair young. "Kid could have hated the world," he said. But one day, stuck in traffic like this, he turns to me and says, "Grandpa, life's not about the roadblocks, it's about the detours." Made me think of Epictetus, you know, the Stoic philosopher. Lame in one leg, but he said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters." I froze. Epictetus, I'd studied the Stoics in college, but dismissed them as ancient fluff. Here was this stranger, weaving philosophy into a bus breakdown, tying it to his grandson's result. As the rain eased, he added, "Sometimes the trivial crap forces you to stop and see what's really blotting you yourself." That moment cracked me open. Oh, the catalyst wasn't the bus failing. It was that forced stillness, that unexpected exchange. Immediate. I'd been fighting the wrong battle, letting self-pity dictate my choices instead of owning my uniqueness. Why hide from Why hide from roles that challenge stereotypes when I could rip the bus jolted back to life eventually, but I stepped off. Change, frustration, transmuted into fuel. From there, the after unfolded like a script. I finally wrote myself. Practical changes started small, daily. I woke up the next morning and stared in the mirror, not with resentment, but resolve. Own it, I told myself. No more self-pity parties. I revamped my routine. Mornings for voice exercises, afternoons for nodding without excuses. I'd always resisted agents who pushed dwarf roles, but now I sought ones who saw my range. I auditioned boldly, walking into rooms with the presence of a giant. Rejection still came, but they bounced off. I reacted differently, analyzing what I could control. My preparation started embracing social invites, navigating crowds with humor instead of ire. Remember that laundromat frustration I'd bury? Now, if a washer was too high, I'd ask for help without shame, turning it into a chat. Dating improved. I met women who saw me, not my stature. And work? It snowballed. I landed a role in The Station Agent in 2003, a film that let me play a complex, introverted man without gimmicks. It was no accident. It came from auditions where I projected that new confidence. Critics noticed, awards followed, and suddenly, doors crisscrossed. But let's weave in some stories that solidified this for me, ones I pull from to illustrate the shift. Take Vincent van Gogh. Yeah, the ear-chopping painter. He toiled in obscurity, rejected by galleries, plagued by mental torment. His brother Theo supported him, but Vincent's breakthrough came not from sudden fame, but from embracing his madness as part of his genius. In letters, he wrote about finding beauty in the ordinary, like sunflowers or starry nights. I read those during my low points, post-bus epiphany, and thought, if he turned personal torment into timeless art, why couldn't I turn my difference into death? It wasn't about waiting for the world to change. It was painting my own canvas, brushstroke by brushstroke. Then there's the ancient Stoics, like that Epictetus the old man mentioned. Born a slave, crippled by his master, yet he taught emperors. His Enchiridion handbook says, men are disturbed not by things but by the views which they take of them. Post-catalyst, I devoured that. My height, my view of it is a curse. The disturbance, I applied it daily. Audition flops became lessons, not defeats. It reframed resistance into acceptance, turning obstacles into stepping stones. And one more, a literary nod, since words are my world. Think of Quasimodo and Victor Hugo's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Deformed, shunned, he rings bells in isolation, but his love for Esmeralda reveals profound humanity. Hugo uses him to critique society's superficiality. Reading that again after the bus, I saw parallels. I'd been my own bell ringer hiding in self-imposed towers. But Quasimodo's tragedy is his inaction. Mine wouldn't be. Chose to descend, engage, let my deformity amplify my voice. These examples weren't just intellectual, they became practical tools. In the years following, I built habits around them. Journaling stoic style, end of day. Note what I controlled, what I didn't. It curbed self-pity. Networking shifted. I'd reference Van Gogh in conversations, bonding over shared struggles. And Hugo inspired me to seek roles with depth, like in Living in Oblivion, where I played a frustrated actor mirroring my past self. Success built incrementally. Station Agent led to Game of Thrones in 2011. Tyrion Lannister, a role that could have been caricature but became iconic because I infused it with that hard-won authenticity. Tyrion's wit, his scars, his resilience, straight from my Catalyst Forge mindset. Awards piled up, Emmys, Golden Globes, but more importantly, I influenced change. Young actors with disabilities reached out, saying I showed them possibility. Personal life flourished too. Marriage to Erica in 2005, kids. A home where height is just a fact, not a factor. Yet it wasn't linear. There were setbacks, films that bombed, roles that typecast subtly. Oh, but the insight held: react with clarity, not resistance. I'd meditate on Epictetus during tough shoots, channel Van Gogh's persistence in rewrites. Even now, voicing characters in animations or producing projects, it's that bus-born wisdom guiding me as I reflect that rainy breakdown ties to what seemed a trivial annoyance. A stalled bus forcing an hour of discomfort birthed my greatest pivot. It stripped away excuses, revealed that true change sparks in the mundane, the frustrating. Without it, I might have stayed mired in self-pity, accepting scraps instead of claiming thrones. So here's my takeaway for you. Life's catalysts hide in the ordinary. That missed train, the rude stranger, the unexpected delay. Don't rage against them. Pause, listen, seek the detour. Ask, what's this teaching me about my reactions? Own your differences, whatever they are. Height, background, scars. Turn resistance into resolve. Let trivial frustrations forge your path. I've lived it, from soaped commuter to storyteller on global stages. You can too. Find clarity in the chaos. It's waiting, rain or shine.